Good evening. Welcome to Empowerment Liberation Cathedrals. Word Wednesday. We want to welcome you. Welcome to everyone. As you are coming in, we want to say don't forget to share this live stream. We also want to remind you, don't forget to text your friends and family and let them know that we are live here on Facebook. We are live here on YouTube. We are live here on the church's website. We are live here on Roku. And so we want you to make sure that you are sharing this live stream with everyone that you know. We have a great topic for tonight. Many of you know this is Cancer Awareness Month. I think it's more like Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but we want to make it Cancer Awareness Month because we know that there are many types of cancers that persons experience. And so we want to talk to you tonight about some things you can do to reduce your risk. And so I need everybody to tune in. I need you to get your friends to tune in. I need you to get your other family members to tune in. I need for everybody to be tuned in tonight with Empowerment Liberation Cathedral. This is Empowerment Liberation Cathedral's Word Wednesday, and we're so happy to bring this topic to you on tonight, considering it is our Praying in Pink weekend. And so I have on pink, and a lot of folks going to have on pink on Sunday. And so we want you to join us at 11 a.m. on Sunday. But we want to talk to you tonight about cancer awareness. But we also want you to join us, if you are able, on Saturday at 1 p.m. for our first ever 2K Cancer Walk at Empowerment Liberation Cathedral for our Praying in Pink weekend. Again, we want you to share this live stream so that others might be able to hear what you are hearing on tonight. We do have some of our leadership who will be on to talk with you, who will be able to talk as well. And so I'm just excited to know that, we get a chance to have a discussion about things that sometimes are a little uncomfortable for us to talk about. And sometimes we don't tell others about the others that we have lost due to cancer. So we want to talk about that tonight. I do want to start by saying, if there are any cancer survivors on tonight, please let us know. Or if you're battling cancer at this time, let us know, and we will definitely add you to our prayer list. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Again, don't forget to share this. If you're watching on YouTube, please do share it. If you're watching on Facebook, we want to see your comments, and so we will post the comments up tonight. We're so glad that we have Deacon Sylvester, who is on with us. We have Tisa, who is on with us, and we have I saw somebody else who was on, and we have Minister Cat who is on with us as well. So thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Again, we're talking about cancer awareness. Now, before we begin to share that information with you, I want to just tell you there's more than just breast cancer. We have people who experience lots of different types of cancers. Cancers can show up in many places in your body. However, we just want to name a few of those for you on this evening. If you think of some that we don't say, then, let us know. Put it in the chat. Okay, because we definitely probably won't remember everything. There's colon cancer. Anybody know anybody who's died from colon cancer or who battled colon cancer who's a survivor on today? There is prostate cancer. Anybody know any people who have survived prostate cancer or maybe transitioned from prostate cancer? My uncle had prostate cancer and he's still living, so praise God for that. Colorectal cancer. We have bladder cancer. There is skin cancer. Anybody know any people who have skin cancer or who may have transitioned from skin cancer? There's also lymphoma. Anybody know any people who had lymphoma? Maybe who have survived lymphoma? Lung cancer. Anybody know people who had lung cancer, may not be with us today, or maybe survivors of lung cancer. One of our members of our church did have lung cancer. And so we always honor her during this month of cancer awareness, Velma Barnes. Stomach cancer. Anybody know anybody who had stomach cancer, or maybe are a survivor of stomach cancer? And we know that cancer also can show up in different ways. Okay, Tisa, your father passed from lung cancer. We're so sorry to hear that. So that means that you're very aware of this particular type of cancer and very familiar of how that cancer progresses. Um, Cancer can show up in other forms, which we know as lupus and leukemia. Okay, and so we just want to acknowledge the fact that there are other types of cancer. Anybody tonight know anyone who has breast cancer, who is fighting breast cancer, or maybe someone who has transitioned from breast cancer? And I also want to give another type of cancer, which is pancreatic cancer. Um, Anybody know any persons with pancreatic cancer or who have transitioned from pancreatic cancer? That cancer, I also had an aunt to die from pancreatic cancer. That is a very aggressive cancer. All right. Anybody, deacon, minister, want to add any other cancers that I may have forgotten here? Okay, so we want to talk with you tonight on some tips to reduce your risk of getting cancer. Now, we know we can never say that if you do these things, you will not get cancer. But we do want to give you a few things that could possibly help to reduce your chances of getting cancer. Okay, so one of the things that the Mayo Clinic recommends is to not use tobacco. How many people use tobacco today? I have to say, Minister Cat and Deacon Sylvester, I'm going to bring them on the screen in a second, that I'm always shocked to see how many people are still smoking, how many people are still smoking cigarettes, who are still smoking cigars. And so I'm always shocked to see them. I'm going to add in Deacon Sylvester at this time. Deacon Sylvester, when you think about it, we have to avoid tobacco. And so smoking, we know, has been linked to various different types of cancer. And so I just want to know what you think about that. What do you think about the possibility of people being able to avoid, tobacco?
Thanks, Bishop. First of all, good evening, all. Um, from childhood, I remember my uncles, some of my uncles, and some of the neighbors smoked tobacco, lived in the country, if you will, and we grew tobacco, and so it was a common thing. And so, what I see now, just an observation, is that not as many people that I see are using tobacco, which is a good thing. I think that there are still way too many in terms of what it can do to your body. And so, hopefully, with education, hopefully, unfortunately, with experience, and with experience, you're talking about knowing people that has lung cancer or died from lung cancer, and maybe that's the straw that broke the camel's back to say, hey, maybe I need to do something differently. Maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I shouldn't do that. And so, just in general speaking, I do see a decrease in people smoking tobacco or using tobacco, because it's not only just smoking, it's the chewing tobacco or whatever you call it.
Okay, Deacon. Thank you for that. So, it's interesting because when we look at persons who are using tobacco, we may not understand that that contributes to cancer of the lung, cancer of the mouth, cancer of the throat, cancer of the larynx, cancer of the pancreas, cancer of the bladder, cancer of the cervix, and kidney. So when you look at all of the cancers that can develop just because you are using tobacco based products, you have to really begin to ask yourself, is this something that I should be doing? Oftentimes as young people, we experiment, we, do a lot of things because we feel like we have so much life ahead of us. We feel like we are invincible. We feel like there's nothing going to happen to us. We see all the older adults with things happening to them, but we often feel nothing's going to happen to us. So if we're out smoking, surely people think this way. We're not going to get cancer of the mouth. If we're out smoking, surely we're not going to get cancer of the larynx. And so, oftentimes, people continue with habits that are not good. And after a certain period of time, there are things that begin to develop in the body. And so, we just have to know that, if we want longevity, we've got to do things that can possibly reduce our risk of coming up with certain illnesses and diseases. Minister Cat, do you want to share anything with us at this time?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember just starting high school, and I thought that smoking cigarettes was the sexiest, cool thing to do because so many people was doing it. Even younger kids in junior high school was doing it, and I thought it was like, oh wow. But when I got to high school, my first year of high school, I tried smoking on the way to school with one of my friends. Was like, girl, just take a puff. You're gonna be all right. And I took a puff and I went into asthma attack. So I was always saying that if I didn't catch an asthma attack, would I be a smoker today or would I like cigarettes? But I would not have because I don't like the smell of them. I get sick to my stomach. I don't like the way it smelled. I don't like the way it lingered. So that's a good thing. But a lot of people develop those habits at early age, and you can imagine like thinking back like when I was in junior high school, kids was 11 and 12 years old smoking cigarettes. They was hiding and doing it up under the bleachers and outside of school and stuff. But I remember being young, watching some of my young classmates smoking. I was like, what are they smoking for? That's like the worst thing you can do, like back then. But it's a habit. And once they get into their adulthood, that's like what? You've been smoking for 15 years? So it's a habit, just like any other habit, is very hard to break, and you're gonna have to learn, some type of self-control or even go get a patch or even, it's easier said than done when people say stop smoking because it makes your breath stink, make your teeth, stain, and then you get cancer and you die. That's basically, how they say it. But it's hard. It's a habit. They develop this habit, and it's not a great habit. But how do we stop? What do you do? Some try to peel the gum, the patches. I remember when all that stuff was out there trying to get people to stop and not really get them to stop because the Surgeon General says one thing and then everybody else says, oh, yeah, just buy some cigarettes. But it's hard. It's hard. Every habit is hard to break, just like an eating disorder. Everything is hard to break. But if you know this is the end result, we have to work towards doing something different for ourselves to have that longevity of life, or I mean, it's like a hit or miss, Bishop. What do you do? Some people get cancer that has not never smoked. So with different diseases and illnesses and stuff like that, that happens that develop. Like, so telling somebody, don't smoke because this happens, but what do you do? How do we come from another angle to help people to not want to have that urge anymore? They just have to have a made up mind. So, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Cat. Thank you so much. And you did bring up a great point that some things are genetic. Some people are predisposed to get certain things, and so it's challenging to say who will and who will not. We're just giving information tonight to help people to know how to possibly reduce their risk. Tisa says secondhand smoke is just as bad. Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Tisa, because yes, sitting around someone who is smoking is impacting your lungs as well. Sitting around someone who is smoking is impacting your throat as well. Sitting around someone who is smoking is impacting your body, your system. And so you may not even have ever smoked a day in your life, but because of secondhand smoke, you are possibly at risk for having some type of cancer or maybe even something else. And so we do want to acknowledge that. Mr. Cat, you want to say something?
Say that again. Say that again. Secondhand smoke is people. Tisa, thank you for that. Bishop, thank you for that. Secondhand smoke is bad. How are people smoking, car windows up, and their children in the car, and they are smoking, and they think it's okay? I see that all the time. It is not okay. Parents, people, aunties, uncles, cousins, whatever. It is not okay to smoke around young children. They didn't ask for that. So please, please, if you're not going to protect yourself, please protect them. Secondhand smoke is bad. I tell people to stay away from me with the smoking and stuff like that. Going about your business, do your thing. Make sure you spray your hair and all that stuff like that before you come back, because I don't want it, because it triggers my asthma. Yes, one, but secondhand smoke is even worse. Thank you for saying that, Tisa. So much appreciate that.
Anybody remember how much the smokers had to spray the mint in their mouths, and how they always had these little Listerine, what was it, like the thin papers that they were putting on their tongue to try to kill the scent? And I guess they weren't thinking, hey, it's in your clothes, it's in your hair, it's everywhere. So they just felt like, hey, as long as I can put a mint in my mouth, I'm good. So, but we're just bringing awareness to you on tonight that, yes, secondhand smoke is almost as bad as smoking yourself. And so if you need help, please do talk to your Listerine strips. That's it. Let me make sure that everybody knows about those Listerine strips. But if you need help, please do make sure that you talk with your medical provider to understand what you can do that would possibly assist you in making sure that you can work towards breaking this habit. Mr. Cat said something that was very true. Habits are very difficult to break, especially if you've been doing that for 20 years. When you experiment as young people, sometimes that experiment turns into a life event. And so you're always smoking. And so some people have been smoking 40 years. So how easy is that going to be to stop that 40-year habit? It's not going to be easy, but it is doable, and there are people who have done it. So we want you to know that you can do it. Now, the next thing the Mayo Clinic wants us to know is that you've got to eat a healthy diet. Now, I want to say, as an advocate, that oftentimes there are food deserts in our urban cities, our urban areas. So how can we be expected to eat fresh fruits and vegetables every day and get the proper amount when fresh fruits and vegetables are not even in our communities sometimes? There are communities, I want you to know, there are communities that do not have fresh fruits and vegetables available to the persons living in those areas. And so either they have to drive far to get fresh fruits and vegetables, or either they do a trade-off and say, okay, well, I can't eat fruits and vegetables, so I guess I'm going to have to settle for French fries. Okay? And so that is somebody's reality. And so I don't want to assume that everybody has access. Everybody does not have access. Anybody know anybody who does not have access? Because access is important. And so we want to acknowledge those, and we want to talk with those city council persons, mayors, to make sure that every community has access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Food deserts are real, and there are people who are suffering from that because of politics. But we do want you to know that it's important to, if you are able to access fruits and vegetables, that you make that a part of your daily diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay. Whole grains and beans are something that you want to add to your diet. Now, I'm going to take some of y'all back. Y'all remember that your grandmas and mamas and big mamas, used to always make these pots of beans. Okay, now we thought that they was just making beans to be making them, but those beans were helping you. They were keeping you healthy. And so nowadays you don't see too many people making big pots of greens and making big pots of beans and making big pots of those types of things. But I will say those things were keeping us healthy and helping us to avoid a lot of things that could have attacked our bodies and caused us to be very ill many years ago. So somebody needs to decide that y'all can go back and fix a big pot of greens, a big pot of beans every week. So y'all let us know that y'all gonna be fixing some beans every week, Minister Cat. Y'all let us know. Let us know. Let us know. Um, okay, so Mr. Cat, you gonna say something on that?
That's so crazy you mention that because I remember snapping those peas and stuff back when. And I also remember those big pot of beans. And I thought it was like, I was like, every time we have those beans and my aunties and fix those beans, my mom and them, I'm like, listen, who got in trouble? I always thought somebody got in trouble as a punishment. They was going to make us eat all these beans and rice tonight. Butter beans, lima beans, black eyed peas, and all kind of stuff. And I was like, who got in trouble? Which one of y'all got in trouble? Mama made all these beans for everybody to eat for 2 days. But I realized that beans are great, and I couldn't stand them growing up. But today, now, I love beans. I love all kind of beans, today. So thank you, Mama, for the beans. But coming up as a kid, I did not care for them at all. But I think that what you said was so correct about us not having those fresh produce in our areas and how certain people don't have those and how they choose other things to eat. But what I want to suggest, if you can get to a supermarket, even if you buy the frozen vegetables and stuff like that, you can also steam them, but don't steam them, overly steam them. And you can still get the nutrients and what you need to get from it. But fresh is always good. Fresh is always the number one to go. But if you cannot get to that and you do have some frozen string beans, peas, corns, whatever it is, that'll still work too if you just lightly steam it, not too much.
All right, lightly steaming. That's what we just heard. To lightly steam it. Okay. Deacon Sylvester, did you have a bean story you wanted to talk about? Okay. Listen.
The
Uh,
only thing I would say is that I do recall living with my grandmother, and we are having beans just about every week. I thought it was what they say poor people's food, and so it wasn't until later that I found out it was actually nutritious for us. And so, thank you.
all right, Deacon. It is nutritious. Yes. And a lot of us thought that was poor people's food. Tisa remembers having to go and pick beans and peas and then have to shell or snap them. So yes, Tisa, we took you back there, and thank you for sharing that with us. All right, and so those beans are important, and whole grains are important as well. Now, you want to maintain a healthy weight. I have to ask, how do we do that in America today? Okay, because so many of us are not at what is considered our ideal weight. And when they tell me what that is, I say y'all need to go and reevaluate those numbers, reassess, because I don't think those numbers have been adjusted in 50 years. So, I know that we do want to make sure we're not overweight, but many Americans are known to be overweight on today, especially with COVID. You're sitting at home, the refrigerator was calling your name. You sitting at home, there's nothing to do, the snacks were calling your name. Sitting at home, and you were up late, and just seemed like everything was calling your name. So you just kind of, gave in some of those days, okay? But we've got to get to a point where we are not overweight, because our weight, we have to maintain a healthy weight. That means we have to eat lighter and leaner by choosing fewer high calorie foods, including refined sugars and fat from animal sources. Okay, so that means we got to change our diets. You shouldn't have to have some type of attack for the doctor to then tell you change your diet, because that's usually when we make the changes. Is that not? Y'all ain't gonna say that tonight. That's usually when we make the change. Something happens, and then we decide, we got to make a change. The doctor says, okay, you just had a heart attack. You got to go on the heart healthy diet. Okay, you shouldn't have to have that heart attack in order to go on that diet. you know you need to be on the diet. You know you need to change some of your eating habits. Okay, so that's what we want to bring to you. It's important that you change some of your eating habits. I'm not saying starve yourself. Bishop is not saying that, but I am saying eat wisely and eat healthy. All right. If you choose to drink alcohol, do so only in moderation. Okay. Do so only in moderation. So now here, the risk of various types of cancer, including cancer of the breast, cancer of the colon, cancer of the lung. Wait, Maggie says, what? No fried pork chops? Well, Maggie, let's say you might be able to eat those maybe once a quarter, okay? When you look at drinking in moderation, including cancer of the breast, colon, lung, kidney, and liver. When you drink alcohol, that increases with the amount of alcohol you drink and the length of time you've been drinking that alcohol regularly. So, cancer of the breast may be impacted. Your chances of developing cancer of the breast may be impacted by how much alcohol you drink and how long you have been drinking on a daily basis. Okay, cancer of the colon or cancer of the kidney and liver may be impacted by how much alcohol you drink and how long you have been drinking it. Okay, so we want you to just know that we're not telling you not to have anything to drink. Everybody always want to tell the bishop that Jesus turned water to wine. Okay, I got it. I'm not telling you not to drink. They were at the wedding at Cana that day. The people were drinking. Yes, I know. All right, so we're telling you to drink in moderation. Okay, so I got some folks. Mr. Cat. Okay, what are you saying?
I'm saying drink in moderation. Don't get drunk. Don't blame it on us. Just don't be out there getting drunk, falling all over and stuff. Talk about, well, the bishop said, somebody else said. But anything you do excessively is too much. Okay, so just remember that. If we are overly eating, it's not going to end good. If we are overly drinking, if we are overly watching TV, some of us become couch potatoes and we sit around and we just do anything. That turns into depression after a while. So anything that is too much and excessive cannot be good for you. So just do things in moderation and be careful. And like Bishop said, the refrigerator was calling you. I know it called me a couple of times, even the snack cabinet. I'm a popcorn lover. It called me a couple of times. And working home virtually is not a joke when you have so many things in the house that you can do and walk around and eat because you're just here. So just be careful and be mindful of that, because a lot of us and a lot of people who we know are dealing with, obesity issues now, or dealing with high blood pressure or diabetes and stuff like that. And people are contracting these things just from the COVID season. So let's just be careful and be mindful. Too much of anything excessively is too much. It can't end too well. So just be mindful and be careful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Tissa says moderation is key. And so, yes, it is. We want to remember that, especially when we talk about alcohol. Moderation is key. Okay. So don't tell folks that the bishop said don't drink anything. That's not what I said, but moderation is key. Now, you also want to limit processed meats. Okay. How many of us eat processed meats on today? And so you want to limit your intake of processed meats. I used to think when I would read this stuff that I can't eat anything. Lord, I'm going to be starving. Okay, so you can still eat, but we're telling you how to eat properly. Okay, so a report from I got to read this to y'all. International Agency for Research on Cancer, the Cancer Agency of the World Health Organization, concluded that eating large amounts of processed meat can slightly increase the risk of certain types of cancer. Okay, and so that means that you have to have a certain type of diet where you're not eating a lot of processed meats, and that is important. So we're sharing tonight, for those of you who are just getting on, ways in which you can reduce your chances possibly of having cancer. Okay, we're not saying that You doing all this stuff is gonna have you not get cancer, because some people are predisposed because of your heritage, your DNA, and so we don't want to say that you will not come down or have cancer or be diagnosed with cancer. We're just giving you ways to reduce possibly your chances of being diagnosed with cancer. These are things that you could be proactive doing. Okay, so maintain a healthy weight and be physically active. Now, again, I told y'all they need to change this 50-year-old weight system that they got here in America, because many of us are not meeting our markers. Okay, if you are a certain height, more than likely you might be over the weight that they have given you, because the weight is probably outdated. Okay, but that's the bishop's opinion. Okay, I'm not a physician, not claiming to be. I do have a PhD, D-men, but I am not a physician. So even though people call me doctor, that's not the same type of doctor. Okay, but we want you to be proactive, and we do want you to watch your weight. Okay, or as some of you may say, let somebody else watch it. But you want to be physically active. Okay, so some of y'all need to go and purchase, or maybe let somebody gift you a Fitbit, Apple Watch, or the, what is it? Is it the Geiger counter? Whatever the counter is. No, the Geiger counter, that's not it. The counter that counts the steps. Okay, we want to make sure that we are moving, that we are physically active every day, because that's going to help you in the long run to be physically active. It's important because your activity counts. Because when you're physically moving, when you're doing exercise, even when you're just walking, you got to be running. We see those aggressive folks. Anybody seen them people? They've been out the whole summer running. They've been out jogging, and they're out on the corner sweating buckets. Like they done ran 20 miles. And so I'm not saying that that's what you got to do. I'm saying you can walk and do your best, but make sure that you are moving. That's what I'm saying. Because when you're moving, that is contributing to your weight control, contributing to lowering your risk of possibly breast cancer and colon cancer. Okay, and so we want to make sure that we're moving. Even if you just do a few jumping jacks, even if you do some stretches and you walk, say for instance, you determine you're going to walk 15 minutes every day. That is important. Okay, so we want to make sure we're walking. Um, Strive to get, the Mayo Clinic suggests that you get about 150 minutes a week of moderate aerobic activity, or 75 minutes a week of vigorous aerobic activity. Okay, so you want to strive to get to that. You don't have to be at that number today. You don't have to be at that number next week, but at least be working towards it. Okay, so it is important to make sure you get about 30 minutes of physical activity in your daily routine. If you can do more, that would be even better. All right, so some of y'all used to see Mr. Cat and I trying to do these different dances and all this kind of stuff to make sure we were moving. And I've done lots of competitions with people on my Apple Watch. I was doing them on Fitbit when I was on Fitbit. So sometimes, you may not be motivated to do it on your own. You may need somebody else's assistance. But, whatever you need to do, make sure you're moving. We're going to ask Deacon Sylvester if he has anything he wants to share on the need to move, because we'll be moving on Saturday. Deacon Sylvester?
Yes, 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 yes. Movement is important. Exercise is important. What I find to be helpful is that when I do it in terms of groups, in terms of support teams, it could be one person, one additional person. It could be some leaders from the church. It could be some members from the church. It could be some of your neighbors, family members. But get a few people, and you guys get where you can go walking for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, up to an hour each day. And you don't have to walk fast. Just get out and walk. Start. And then after a week, you can increase. And then after a week, and competition is healthy, because once you start, and what I actually used to do with the ELC leaders is that I used to post every week, numbers. And so people want to compete against each other. And so it was important that everybody made a good effort at it. And so I encourage you to do the same.
Yes, and Deacon, I wanted to just let everybody know we used to walk every day last year for months. And I felt so good during that time when we were walking together. And we kind of got sidetracked with everything that was going on starting late fall, I think it was. But we used to walk every day for at least, what was it, about an hour and a half? And so you don't have to do an
Yeah.
hour and a half, but you should have some type of exercise regimen that you're doing. Find you a partner, a buddy who you can walk with. I even walk with Minister Cat. Minister Cat, I'm going to bring you on the screen and you can talk about us walking together as well.
I mean, it was really nice. I love competition, so Bishop and I always fight for first place. And speaking of that, I still didn't get my gift card yet. But anyway, we'll talk about that off screen. But anyway, anywho, um, I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed walking as a group because you walk as a group, it just take your mind off of the distance. Before you know it, you walk 3 miles already, or before you know it, you walk 5 miles already. Like I used to do 6 miles. I used to do 3 miles in the morning and three in the evening, and I used to enjoy it. And I used to love it because I used to be by myself most of the time. But it does help to be with somebody, especially if you're out there early in the morning walking. You don't really want to walk by yourself or late in the evenings. You really need to take a buddy with you because I don't care where you live, it's really not all that safe to just be by yourself. But I like walking most times by myself because I like listening to my music and I like being able to stay focused and grounded and think of a lot of things and center yourself, put yourself back, in place. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Our weight was coming down. Then we started doing Wednesday dance aerobics and Word Wednesday dance aerobics. I mean, it was really, 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 really nice. And a lot of people start jumping on and getting involved. Everybody, oh, y'all doing this? Let us get involved. And a lot of people started asking us and getting involved. And those who have the watches and stuff like that, we all started connecting with each other and started walking together. At different times in different spaces, but we all could see each other as walks and counts and stuff like that. And it was just like amazing. So, if you guys are encouraged to do that, if you're a walker and not a runner, because I ain't running nowhere at this moment because I'm 52 and these knees are not what they used to be. So therefore the walking was great. It was great. And it helps build up your lungs as well. So
The walking was great. We had an awesome time. And yes, I wasn't even thinking about when we did the gospel aerobics at the church. And we wanted to make sure people got at least 30 minutes of exercise in on Wednesday nights. And when we had to go virtual, we were not in the building anymore. We actually did the gospel aerobics still virtually. And Minister Cat led us in that effort. So I just want to tell people, if you can be proactive, please do. There are many ways to be creative and make sure that you are continually moving and you are getting those steps in and making sure that that you're moving and you're not stagnant. Okay, because that is important. So again, they suggest 30 minutes of physical activity. Just say you're walking 30 minutes on your job. Okay, for your lunch break, or you're walking with someone else during the time that you all are needing to. I think, I don't know why I lost my signal for a second. Just say that you are taking your 2 15-minute breaks. You can combine those and make sure that that's your time to walk. So we want to make sure that we're moving and we're exercising. Now, one thing that the Mayo Clinic does ask us to do is to protect ourselves from the sun. Anybody know how important that is? There are so many people who come down with skin cancer every year. But one of the most preventable types of cancer is skin cancer. That's why you see there's an entire market for preventing sun exposure or overexposure to the sun. All right. And so we have to make sure that we are doing things we can that will help us to prevent skin cancer. So one of the things that the Mayo Clinic suggests is to avoid midday sun. So between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., they suggest that is when the sun's rays are the strongest. And so if you have to be out, make sure you use the sunblock and all those other types of things that we are told to use that can help protect our skin. We know skin is the largest organ, so we want to make sure that we're protecting our skin and not putting ourselves at risk for skin cancer. Also, stay in the shade. I know a lot of times people feel like, hey, I ain't got to stay in the shade, but the Mayo Clinic suggests that if there is shade during those high sun ray times or when the sun is the strongest, stay in the shade. Okay. Sunglasses, broad rim helps. Hats help. So, how many of you wear sunglasses? Can I get a show of hands right where you are? And how many of you are wearing those wide brim hats that can help protect you again from the sun's rays? Okay, so we want to make sure that we're doing that. Cover exposed areas. So if you know that your arms are out, if you know that your feet are out, your legs are out, sometimes it's good for you to cover those exposed areas with loose fitting clothing. Okay, we know you don't want to be hot. We know it's the summer. This is the best time to make sure that we're wearing our least amount of clothes. We know when you say summer, when you say it's warm, we all think, okay, I can shed all the clothes. Okay, but the Mayo Clinic wants us to be wise and to cover some of those exposed areas, especially when the sun is very high. Okay, so that can help us to prevent skin cancer. And some people probably think, oh, I don't know any black people who's gotten skin cancer. Well, people of color, yes, can still get skin cancer. And so I want you to protect your skin. Deacon Sylvester put up here for us to protect our skin. And so we want to make sure that we are doing that. All right. So no matter what color you are, no matter what your ethnic background is, you can still develop skin cancer if you're not protecting your skin. And they said don't skimp on the sunscreen. Sometimes we think, oh, I don't need that much. I don't need to put on that much. I'm just going to put on a little bit. No, put on a lot. You need to protect your skin, okay? And so sometimes we're afraid to put a lot on the babies. We're afraid to put a lot on the kids. We're afraid to put a lot on ourselves. But no, you want to protect your skin. And I think the minimum that they say you need to use is where it has to have at least an SPF of 30. Okay, so if you're using something that's less than 30, we want to suggest to you that you go and purchase something different. All right. So anybody know anybody that's had skin cancer? All right. So another interesting thing is that the Mayo Clinic suggests that you get vaccinated. Okay. Now, who would think vaccination can help you with cancer? And so I thought this was very interesting as I was researching. And so cancer prevention includes protection from certain viral infections. Okay, so if you're going to protect yourself from cancer or reduce your risk, let me say, of being diagnosed with cancer, you've got to protect yourself from certain viral infections that come in the body. And so hepatitis B is one viral infection that does come in the body, and HPV, human papilloma virus. Okay, I want to make sure said that correctly. And so hepatitis B can increase the risk of developing liver cancer. And so I want everybody to know that. So we know that there are many people who are at-risk persons who do have hepatitis B, as well as other persons throughout communities. And so if you do have hepatitis B, you do want to get vaccinated so that you possibly can reduce your virus exposure in your body and reduce your risk of coming down with one of those types of cancers. Okay. HPV is a sexually transmitted virus that can lead to cervical and other genital cancers, as well as squamous cell cancer, of the head and neck. Okay, so we want to make sure that first of all, if we've been diagnosed with either one of those, that we are getting vaccinated. But vaccination is important for everybody. Okay, so we do want to make that point. Deacon Sylvester gets on and talks about vaccination, or gives us the numbers about COVID, which lets you know that people do need to be vaccinated because still the numbers are rising. And there are different variants now of the COVID-19. So, Deacon, do you remember any of the numbers from the other week that you gave to us that can let us know, where we are? Because if people are not getting vaccinated, the numbers are going to continue to go up. The more that the numbers go up, the more we're going to stay with these COVID restrictions. And so, Deacon Sylvester.
Yes. So just from Sunday, in terms of vaccination in the DC metropolitan area, the district on Sunday was at 82% for first dose. Maryland was at 83. Virginia was at 81 for first dose. And then in terms of fully vaccinated, the district on Sunday was at 60.3%, Maryland 64.3%, and Virginia at 60.7%. And so I can't stress enough that everybody should be vaccinated. If you're medically inclined and able to. And as Bishop said earlier, it's not just to protect you, but it's protect people that are around you as well. And so some people aren't able to get vaccinated, and so they need that extra layer of protection as well. And so if you haven't been vaccinated, hashtag get vaccinated. Thank you.
I love that hashtag get vaccinated. I do think it's important. I believe I saw somewhere on the news where 56% of Americans are vaccinated. And so if that is the case, and 90% is the number that have to be vaccinated to reach herd immunity, that means we're nowhere near it. Okay? And so that means that the variants are going to continue, and this virus is not going to be going away as soon as we had hoped it would be, because so many are not getting the vaccination. So, thank you so much, Deacon Sylvester, for sharing that with us. Now, we want to know also, it says, when you talk about reducing your risk of cancer, you have to avoid risky behaviors. And so there are a lot of behaviors that are risky, but when we talk about that, we want to put at the top of the list to practice safe sex. So people may say, well, what does that have to do with cancer? Okay. But here they suggest that you limit your number of sexual partners. Use a condom when you have sex. The more sexual partners you have, the more likely you are to contract a sexually transmitted infection. People who have HIV or AIDS have a higher risk of cancer, cancer of the anus, cancer of the liver, and cancer of the lung. So, it is thought that if you practice safe sex, you could possibly reduce your risk of those particular types of cancers. Okay? Don't share needles. Sharing needles with people who are intravenous drug users can lead to HIV as well as hepatitis B and hepatitis C, which can increase the risk of liver cancer again. So we want you to be safe, and at when at all possible, work to avoid risky behaviors. The last one is one we really cannot stress enough. We want to spend about our time talking about this, and then we'll take some questions. I know I think we lost some of our people because the signal dropped for a moment. But you want to make sure you're getting regular medical care. That's what's important. There are screenings that can help you to determine early on if you have some form of cancer, or if you're predisposed for some form of cancer. So I think that's important. Tisa is saying, yes, don't share needles. of other people. Um, oh, no, no, no. If she said don't share needles or people, so, um, it's important to have regular routine medical care. I can't stress that enough because a lot of times, if you are diagnosed early, then there may be something that can be done to help you. If you're not diagnosed in a proper time, then you may reduce your chances of medication being able to assist you or surgery or something like that. So we want to say, please, please, please make sure that you have routine medical care. All right, that is very important. And so the screenings are very important. Make sure that you're having the exams. I know people, especially men, don't like to have that exam, but you have to have the exams with an S to make sure that you're okay. And um, be proactive. Proactivity can save your life. And so today, we want you to work toward saving your own life. Okay, don't be reactive, be proactive. And you're the one who's going to save your life by going to have regular medical checkups and having the exams that have been developed to determine early on if there's anything that is showing up in your body that is a cancer. Okay, so we think that's important, and we wanted to say that to you on tonight as we prepare to go into our Praying in Pink weekend. And so hopefully somebody has been blessed by this topic on tonight with cancer awareness. We did want to know again if anyone watching is a cancer survivor. We celebrate you and we want to make sure that we continue to celebrate what God has done in your life. And if you have any persons who have transitioned from any type of cancer, Sunday we will call their names during our Prayer in the Pink service, and we want to make sure that we have their names. So you can send those to us in the chat on Sunday, and we will make sure that their names are on the list. Or you can send them to us tonight, and we will make sure that their names are on the list. But we want to call the list of every person that call the names of every person that has transitioned from cancer that meant anything to any of you. And so we want to make sure on Sunday that we do call their names. All right. And so are there any questions at this time? If there are any questions, please do type them into the chat, and we'll see how we could best answer those questions at this time. So are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions at this time? All right, so we will ask Minister Cat if she has anything she wants to say, and then we'll have Deacon Sylvester if anything he wants to say, and then we will have our closing for this evening.
Just want to say thank you everyone for joining us, and join us on next week as we celebrate our Cure for Cancer service on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Cat. Deacon Sylvester.
Yes, I would like to invite everyone, and I mean everyone, to participate in our Praying in Pink 2K walk, our first walk for ELC. And what I would ask you, if you're not able to join us in person, please, please, please register, walk where you are, send in your pictures to us, and we will post them as part of our first annual Praying in Pink 2K walk. So once again, everybody's invited to participate. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yes, everyone is invited to participate. And we do want to see your pictures. So if you walk from home, thank you, Deacon. Please hashtag ELC Praying in Pink 2K Walk. And also tag us in your picture. And we'll be sure to post those pictures because we want to show the participation. Again, whatever we collect, we're going to announce, first of all, and then we will send it to the American Cancer Society because we do need there to be a cure found for so many different types of cancer. And so, too many of us have lost loved ones, and we really do hope that some cure will be found soon for cancer. And because I think I read today where there's some treatments now that are not as aggressive as the ones that we've known throughout the years. And so it is our hope that medicine will continue to advance so that it can save more lives for persons who've been diagnosed with cancer. So again, thank you so much for joining us here for Word Wednesday this week. Again, it is Cancer Awareness Month. We are praying for those who are battling cancer at this time, who have declared victory. We declare victory with you. We are praying for those who are mourning their loved ones, who have joined the ancestors who are with you in spirit. We totally believe that. And we are celebrating those who have been able to have victory over cancer. And, you are a living testimony of what the power of God and medicine can do. And so thank you so much again for joining us on tonight. Sunday, don't forget to wear pink. It is Praying in Pink Sunday. We do have some testimonies from cancer survivors that we will show you on Sunday. We also will hear from a nurse who will talk about, again, the need for testing and screening. And you will, of course, hear from our praise team. And it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful service. And so please do join us at 11 a.m. I did do a post this evening that said, if Facebook happens to go down, y'all know there's a lot going on. In politics is not always the best for people who are not at the board decision level. And so if Facebook happens to go down, we will be live on YouTube. We'll be live on Roku, and we'll be live on the church's website. Okay. So we want you to make sure that you still join us on Sunday for our Praying in Pink worship experience. Join us on Saturday, as Deacon Sylvester said, at the Allen Pond Park in Bowie, Maryland. Now, if it rains, we will give you the rain out date because I did hear that it is possible that it will rain on Saturday. So we'll give you that rain out date, which will be 2 Saturdays from then. I believe that's the 23rd, but we'll give that to you. We'll post it for you if it does rain. Okay. So anyone who wants to give, if God has touched you and you want to give an offering at this time, you can give at $ ELC Church. That's the Cash App, or you can go to Givelify, and we just pray God's blessings upon every person who will give on tonight, and we just ask that God will return it to you 100-fold, and we say that God help us to use whatever the people give for the upbuilding of your kingdom. God, this is our prayer. We lift you in Jesus' holy name. We do pray. Amen. Well, we say go in peace, and may the peace of God be with you. And as always, remember, this is the year of intention. Again, this is the year of intention. May God bless each and every one of you. Good night.